How do you prioritize your health and rest as a busy parent of young kids?
You don't. You just go ahead
You
and
just roll with
burn
it?
the candle at both ends.
Okay, no, we are in a unique situation where we kind of understand where this is like, even though our kids are a little bit older, in
Yeah.
some ways, our kids still act like they're younger. So, for
Yes.
example, perfect example, last night.
Well, why don't you give a little context? 'Cause we don't know. Everybody knows this.
Sure. So we have three kids, 16, 13, and 10, girl, boy, boy. Both of our boys, 13 and 10, are on the autism spectrum and have some unique challenges that they face.
So in a sense, the body's 13, kid's 5'11",
Yes.
and yet
Mind is not
mind
necessarily
is
in that
more
space.
like maybe he's 5 years older. Or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
So for Hudson, perfect example is last night. Hudson went to bed and he woke up at 1 a.m., came in to wish me a good morning and tell me, Mom, I slept well, and really thought he was up for the day.
Ready for school.
He was ready to get ready for school and was very shocked when I let him know that it was another 5 hours before he could even start thinking about getting up and getting ready for
You
the
got
day.
him snort some melatonin and go back to bed.
Something like that. I told him to go take a warm shower to like help him, get calm back down. And yes, gave him some melatonin. He didn't fall asleep till 4 a.m. So I'm continually waking up to go remind him, hey,
You look great, by the
You
way,
need to
for
try to go to sleep.
being up all night.
that's the benefit of being a makeup artist is you can cover a multitude of sins.
You pulled it together.
Thank you.
I must say.
Eye drops and makeup do wonders. So all that to say, then of course he falls asleep just in time to have to wake up again to go to school. So it was a unique experience. We have that kind of thing a lot. So like rest kind of comes in different shapes and forms. And if you have a new baby, you're on that kind of schedule. If you have, little kids that are going through, maybe they're scared of the dark, they're having nightmares, you're not sleeping well at night, but there's a million things that can equate to a lack of rest, right? Not just sleep. And so I think Greg, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that. How do people deal with that? And I know your joke is you don't. Yes, you have to just deal with it to a
it's
certain
joke.
degree,
It's
but
a bad joke. I would say health. Usually, as soon as you hear that, what comes to mind is your physical health, which is important, right? To make sure you're taking care of yourself and all that. But I think it's more than that. It's emotional, it's mental, it's relational, right? So, in a sense, you have to understand what your needs are and how to meet those, get those needs met in a healthy way. So it might be emotionally, you're just kids are draining you. They're taking from you all the time. You love them, but they're taking more than they give, and so you got to find relationships where you have good reciprocity. You've got you're having a good time. You're being able to break away. Remember that you're a human being. Again, knowing what those needs are. So I think you just have to be clear about that. Finding your chance to step back out of the whirlwind of being a caretaker, and again, it's unique to each person because some people just love parenting young kids. Like they live for it. Like they're like, man, that's all they've ever wanted. They've dreamed of, and even at that, you're going to be wiped. You're going to be tired because you're human. You're pouring out. But some people, that's a very rewarding season for
Right.
them. And other people, it's way, way outside of who they are.
they're fighting through it.
They're not a caretaker by nature. They're not. They don't necessarily need to be needed.
And that's okay, by the way. Does not make you a bad parent. You're not a bad mom, not a bad parent, just because, not bad dad, just because that particular season is not the most enjoyable and rewarding to you.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of people that choose careers in caretaking because they love it. They love that. They love being able to be there and help meet someone's needs and help them in a healthy way and all that kind of stuff. So that is, that's a lot of people. That's their passion. So those seasons where the kids really are taking more than they give is going to be suited a little bit more for some people than others. But even if you're totally suited for it, you still get tired. You still have to take care of
Absolutely.
yourself. In fact, even more so in some ways, it might be sort of natural for you to neglect yourself. Like that might be something you tend to do. So
that's a great point.
You got to be disciplined about how you handle that. And again, for the parent who isn't wired that way, you and I were talking, actually, we were reminiscing a couple weeks ago on an old sermon that I did on Mary and Martha. And that text, Jesus goes over their house. Martha's prepared this huge meal, and Mary, her younger sister, is sitting at the feet of Jesus. And Martha's ticked because she has all this work to do. And she's like, what's up? Like, she kind of goes after Jesus, goes after her sister, make her get up and help me. And Jesus is like, Martha, Martha. Mary is chosen wisely, And that message usually quickly turns into, put your phone down, be present, why are you so busy, da-da-da. And in a sense, yes. I mean, we do have to have the presence of mind.
It's not a bad lesson to take.
Yeah, no, it's a good, there's a good lesson in there. Sure. I think we all need to put stuff down and be present where we are before it's too late. But it's also a message about why is Martha so angry? And she lives in a day where she doesn't have career opportunities that she would have if she happened to be born now. So she's born into a system and a culture where she can't even go. She can only go so far, even in the temple. She can only go so far educationally before she has to be a homemaker, right? And so, at the end of the day, she may not even want to do that, but now she has to. So she's in a season, or frankly, in a culture where she's forced to do that. And because of that, she's feeling in many ways probably constrained and bottled up. So I think when you look at what it takes to be healthy when your kids are young, in many ways, it is creating a constraint. There might be emotions around that. There might be anger about that. It might just be you're tired because you're running ragged, or it might be this season feels like it's really controlling me in a way. I don't like to be controlled. All that to say, it's unique to each person. I think you got to dig deep and find out what's going on at the emotional level, the mental level, the physical level, and what's a healthy way to address each of those things.
I also think a big piece of that discovery process, the next step in it after you've kind of done the work to dig deep and see what it is that's actually the most exhausting to you in that season, is to let go of any kind of weird guilt or shame you feel around it. Because I feel like that's a pretty common thing too, that people feel like, well, I should be loving this all the time. I shouldn't feel constrained by it. That's a reflection of me as a parent. I'm a bad parent that this feels like it's exhausting or making me angry or, whatever. That's just not true. It is a hard thing. It's a good thing, but it's a hard thing. And so it's okay that like in seasons of it, you just go, I'm genuinely not loving this. I love my kids, but I may not be loving this experience. And give yourself grace on that. Be patient. I think it becomes a vicious cycle when we feel some guilt and shame. Then it kind of intensifies anger, right, and stress and whatever, and it just all becomes this negative feedback loop that makes everything worse.
Yeah. So human beings have a unique ability to hold two sometimes conflicting truths at the same time, right? So you could be at a funeral and be grieving and extremely sad, and at the same time grateful and thankful for what you had.
That's right.
Right. So I can. That's why I can laugh and cry at the same time. So as a parent, I can be exhausted and frustrated with my kid in one hand, in the other hand, love them tremendously.
Absolutely crazy about them on the
and
other.
not feel like I'm either or. That if I'm frustrated and tired and even maybe feeling a little resentful, that somehow I'm ungrateful and unloving. No.
That's right.
You can hold them both. And I think that's part of maturing emotionally over time, as I realize if I have a negative feeling, and even a feeling like feeling resentful or frustrated, that doesn't, that it's not like I can only hold one feeling. No, right. I'm that and that at the same time. Welcome to being a human being.
That's right.
The human experience. So like you said, I think that enables people to give themselves a little grace.
I think last thing I would say is embrace the fact that things are seasonal. It's not forever. I think sometimes the season feels so long. And it feels like there is no way out. And again, for parents who are maybe in a situation similar to ours, there are a ton of parents that have kids with special needs where maybe the seasons really are very extended, certain pieces, but nothing is forever. And it's okay to just
accept my love for you is not seasonal.
I'm not talking about love.
It's forever.
I appreciate you.
And ever to 1,000 generations.
I appreciate that very much. And my love for you is unending as well. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the difficult season that you're in
Right.
is not forever. And so it's okay to just go, you know what, this season, it's not my favorite. I'm kind of putting my head down and just getting through it. I'm taking breaks when I can. I'm digging deep on what is good for me, but I'm just going to go like, all right, I'm going to remind myself it's going to get better. I heard a really cool saying one time. Someone was talking about how when flamingos have babies, the moms are spending so much of their energy making sure that their kids have enough food and that they're taken care of or whatever, that they start to lose their pink. What they eat is what makes them pink. And so as the chicks mature and get older and can start to be a little more self-sufficient, she gets her pink back. And I thought, it sounds a little cheesy, but like I think it is a good reflection and a good reminder of something within our world, natural world, for us as parents as well. Like there may be seasons where you do feel very drained and you've got less of what makes you you. But over time, that will change and it will come back to a season where you start getting your pink back as well.
I have nothing to add to that, man. You nailed it with the flamingos.
All right.
Seriously, that I didn't see that coming.